See, yep, and that is going to be the first ban right out the gate. So just get rid of that immediately and halt the Afreeca Freecs in their tracks. We'll see where they want to go from here. Last time Jenner was over onto this blue side, we saw the Malzahar make it through the draft. So Kuzan probably be more than happy to get his hands on that yet again.
First pick Rek'Sai will certainly come through if it is not banned by Afreeca. It was first picked.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, look at me. I'm a soothsayer today. Those were the big picks, and they are banned away. So we're going to see a very different type of game 4, you'd have to imagine.
Looking that way, which means that it could be either team's game here to win, as things are going to be very different. Hopefully, though, we won't see Winged going back onto that Lee Sin unless he's really going to try to put down that early pressure, because it was lacking pretty significantly in that last game.
I think Lissandra is the likely first pick here for Jenner if it's left up. It's going to ban away the Twisted Fate and not have to deal with those shenanigans. Still plenty of Pocket Mickey champions to be last picked if they're going to leave last pick over.
Perhaps the Zed.
The Dream. Zed was picked by Scout of EDG, and it was specifically into Talia. And Talia is another champion that would have to be last banned by Afreeca for that to be off the board.
It's true, we've seen her taken away. So now they're really playing around with this one. Talia was open in the last game, not picked up, banned in games 1 and 2, and it's going to be the Malzahar yet again. So could be Talia if Kuzan wants to pick that one up.
Sandra is probably the most likely first, but actually we haven't
Oh
even
yeah,
mentioned.
wow, Vladimir.
Hasn't necessarily been a high win rate champion, but both these players, Mickey has a very high win rate with it, so perhaps denying it away is behooved for the side of Afreeca, and Kuzan has played a lot of the Vladimir as well.
Yeah, I think you just have to go ahead, take this one away, as Mickey would be more than happy to get his hands on it. They will go ahead and lock that one up for Kuzan. Could always be a flex to Trace, though. Never really know what's going to happen with those two.
There's been a bit more of the top lane of Vladimir in a couple of scenes. Amazing J playing it in China, and also we saw it from Crazy in the promotion tournament a couple of times. So you're right, there is that outside chance of top lane Vladimir. It doesn't strike me as a Trace champion, even though it can have quite a lot of lane pressure.
So now might just be back over to the Echo for the 4th game in a row for Afreeca Freecs. Ixu's 3rd one.
Guess Afreeca just don't play Nara. That's all we can really take away. Nara was first pick in the LCK final. So many other series have been first pick across the world, but more Echo priority being shown by Afreeca in particular.
Gonna lock this up as well as the Sivir coming through yet again for Songyun. So once this instead of that Kog'Maw, played it in game 2.
I think it's Karma plus Kog'Maw or no Kog'Maw is kind of the math equation.
Yeah.
So Sivir does similar late game damage and
fair point.
has the ultimate utility as well.
Always bring back the Lulu.
I mean, we just saw it flash, but we're not going to see it realistically, Achilles.
I don't know if it's actually been played anywhere in any of the regions yet with the recent changes.
I want to say there's been a single Lulu support game, but might just be incorrect on that one.
All right, Trundle and Gragas coming through. This is good for Winged. Had a good performance on this one.
He was great in game 1 on the Gragas. And then the Trundle's going to most likely be support, but chance that Trace plays it in top as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Jay pull that one out a couple times now. So we'll see where he wants to place that. Back over to Afreeca Freecs, looking for mid lane support and jungle to finish out their squad. Long hover over the Kale. Don't think we're going to see that one come through, but with Talia available, could be a pickup for Mickey. And I mean, it suits his style. He's got an ultimate that he can just ride into the middle of the enemy team and get killed on.
It's true. Push and roam is definitely his MO, and push and roam and die. Its mid lane Corki was also a thing of his, so love to see Mickey play that Talia. We've definitely seen the best and worst of Talia in recent weeks. BDD especially had a most awful game in their first series in the promotional tournament. Weaver's Wall is kind of the big skill cap. Some people are able to split the enemy team and really facilitate global players, and some players don't have that same conceptualization of the ult.
Well, last pick for the jungle for them. From Sivir in the bottom lane, going to be A nice strong pickup for them. So now going back into the Sivir, what do we see from Pilot? Tried playing the Ashe in the last game, didn't have that much success. We saw the Lucian come out in game 2, and that had worked out pretty nicely for him. It's going to be the Ezreal, though, this time around, and then Gnar coming in as the final pick, so falling all the way down to last pick on Blue's side. But they'll just be running this Gnar into the Echo, like we saw earlier on in the series, which means that Vladimir will be in mid for Kuzan.
I really do like the Ezreal pick in this game because you've got Gnar, Vladimir, who really want to dive in. Not a lot of peel for the Ezreal, so you go for the ultimate self-peel champion, also very safe. Even if the Weaver's Wall comes, the moment Mickey hits level 6, you have both the Arcane Shift and Flash to get away. So even though they want to set up a 1-3-1 Ezreal mid lane until he has the 2 items, isn't the best to match wave clear against a Sivir. I think overall it's a good pick. Pilot's also 5-3. It's probably his best performing champion. Hasn't played it a lot in summer season, but another stat worth mentioning. Even though it really suits the playstyle of Mickey, it's actually Mickey's competitive debut on the Taliyah. So another one of these top mids in Korea gets to mess with what is very clearly a powerful champion on 615. We'll have to see how he fares.
I mean, we had seen the Taliyah coming out for, you know, Sky in the mid lane, for CJ, Faker, a couple other people, but really at that time it was all about the Vladimir for Mickey. That was what he was trying to get his hands on. So now we're going to be changing it up a little bit. But like I said, I think this suits his play style. Both of these mid laners are going to be running with the Flash Ghost. So we'll see how he performs, whether or not he's going to have a Faker level performance on the Taliyah or if it's going to be more of a BDD.
That does seem to be the level. I think Fly
Too
to
soon?
BDD is perhaps the better duo. I guess you can say Sky as well, but that was only 2 games many moons ago. But yeah, always interesting to see because definitely a champion. It's going to be a mainstay of competitive play, barring some pretty heavy-handed nerfs. Roaming potential there. Mickey loves to dodge lane and make plays around the map, hence his love of Twisted Fate, and Taliyah might be a better Twisted Fate these days.
We'll see if he's going to be able to cut off the enemy team and try to create some picks for them. But right now, up against the ropes, Afreeca Freecs going to try to even out this series. Just need to find these next 2 wins. Jin Air a win away from progressing further into the regional qualifier. Going to be looking to close it out clean and concisely here in Game 4. Let's go ahead and get onto the Rift and see who is going to be the victor. All right, Ocean Drake, hey! It finally pops its head out, which is kind of bittersweet because it's like, hey, first Ocean, okay, it's an Ocean Drake.
Fans have been filtering into the studio slowly. Of course, we start at 5 p.m. on a work day now. The school's no longer out for summer, so only now we're starting to really fill up and some voice in the cheers. I'd love to see a Game 5. I really think Afreeca finally showed and put their best foot forward in Game 3. And I'm just intrigued to see what Taliyah's Mickey's Taliyah, that's silly, but Mickey's Taliyah can make happen.
So interestingly enough, Ixu still going with that fervor of battle despite being at that disadvantage with the range to melee, and Trace is not going to be going for it himself. So won't be stacking up those hyper stacks as quickly as you normally would, and that's been pretty much the most prevalent keystone as far as the Gnar tops goes. So a bit of a turn away from that for Trace in top. We'll see how that's going to pay off for him.
Seems pretty counterintuitive because the guy who's going to kind of be wailing away on the melee champion's taking the more defensive keystone. It is Trace who's defensive-minded, but I guess the other thing to factor in is that if you take Fervor on Echo at level 2, you can go very hard with auto attacks. The base damage of the Fervor is quite high, and so you can perhaps get a life lead, maybe a potion lead early, and then just force Trace to be more focused on getting his life total up. That was the little pushing that we've seen. A lot of mid lane Taliyahs in particular, with a very fast wave clear at level 1, have been looking to contest enemy Raptors. And that's what Mickey did this game. That evolved into really nice counter ganks both in China and the NA finals recently, but won't be punished this time.
Yeah, Wings moves over. It's still warded out. Not going to go for that one yet. Going to opt in for the red buff, and you can see Mickey just completely shoved up towards that turret, just trying to keep Kuzan as far under there as possible, and he's working him down pretty low, as well as stretching ahead as he has.
So what teams will do against Taliyah will be they'll start red buff, the jungle will path into the brush, you know, just above a red buff, and then you just get a big gank. It's obviously very fast for Kuzan to just walk down, and then with the Gragas body slam, potential for a kill onto the very low health, level 2 at the time, Talia. But no scouting report this time from Jin Air means that they're free to get that extra experience for Mickey.
And we'll have to keep our eye on this bottom lane now with Pilot over onto the Ezreal. It's the second time that Songyun's played this Sivir in the set. Didn't find success on it. First time around, that was in game 2. But gonna try his hand at it yet again, and now Pilot moving over to a much different AD carry than what we've been seeing.
Shove!
He gets shoved in, and he's gonna get taken out with a solo kill. Mickey just absolutely destroying the Vladimir. Didn't have a chance to use his Ghost or his Flash to get out of that one. Mickey just using the Ghost himself, and that's going to be a massive pickup for him.
Kuzan's a really practiced Vladimir, but caught out by the potential of the Talia. Really nice W hit there.
Oh, the
Ixu.
steal away by Ixu. He's able to find the Grump, but now this is the roam down coming through from Trace. He can hop over the wall and try to cut him off. Ixu's going to have the Flash. So he gets the Grump, but loses his Summoner spell himself. But they get that pickup, and now Lyra feel comfortable to go for this Ocean Drake, which would be very nice for Afreeca as a whole. Keep Ixu alive. He just back off away from Trace with that constant harass. He's going to be thrown down, regenerate up a bit. Mickey as well. Be able to help match the sustain of the Vladimir in mid.
But what a team performance. Solo kill in mid, same time Ixu walks into the enemy jungle to contest the Grump, and they take the Drake as well. Earliest Drake by a mile we've seen in recent memory at 4.5 minutes, and most played this season is the Vladimir, but only 3 and 6, only a 33% win rate on that Vladimir, and
Kuzan's
just
way too
disrespected him.
aggressive.
He could have flashed earlier, could have just respected him in any way, but first performance from Mickey on Talia, going pretty damn well.
Yeah, and you can see already starting off with that lost chapter, going to be building towards the Morellonomicon. So it's going to be hurting Kuzan even more once he can complete that, because Kuzan's got a ways to go before he can scale up, and that threaded volley is just connecting and doing so much work, knocking him down to half HP every single time.
Lost Chapter is such a wonderfly powerful item. Every level, getting that extra 20% of your max mana back means you can be pretty liberal with spells, as if it was the old tier or the pre-mana regen rework items. Trace going for the grass. Every time Ixu gets more than 2 auto attacks down, really managed to harass out the Gnar.
Yeah, I mean, Trace hasn't gone back for the buy yet. It's a double Doran's ring here.
Uh-oh.
Or Lyra, or now it's Lyra's coming in for the gank. Trace just hugging the minion wall. He'll be able to get out safely. Throws up, he's sitting on top of a ward.
Never could have flashed.
Oh boy, Kuzan back in mid. With the seismic shove, takes a good chunk of damage, but still not blowing either of his summoner spells.
Never could have flashed for the Cocoon. Peanut often goes for moves like that, but either respected Trace's ability to counter flash or was happy with the summoner being blown.
I think he was more worried about being able to finalize the kill, as Ixu was still a ways away, doesn't have his flash up. So just lets him waddle away. That's the first back now for Trace, and goes for the Ninja Tabi. So not going to be very powerful for a while. Going to be delaying that build, whether he goes for the Frozen Mallet or the Black Cleaver first. It's going to be pretty late.
Another way that Afreeca have won is in the shopping timings in bot lane. You really want to force a long laning phase as Ezreal, so you can back and get Tyr and Sheen, but it's Tyr versus BF Sword. Literally the worst case scenario possible for an Ezreal.
Pretty much.
And you get pushed in with reckless abandon, no real way to opt into trades, barring the ultimate, getting a big burst onto, say, the support.
And you can see things already starting to go pretty poorly here for Trace. A little bit back with the grasp, but he's going to be hurting in these exchanges.
Mickey has been perma pushing into the Vladimir. And of course, Vladimir will get more levels into Tides of Blood and be able to match it to a degree, but we've already seen he's got the laning mechanics down, the 1v1 mechanics down on the Talia. Let's see how his Weaver's walls are, because he's going to have plenty of breathing room to go for a global play before long.
Another seismic shove in. Doesn't have too much to offer up as far as further damage goes. Wayne going to get spotted out by that ward by the Raptors. He's now level 6. To try to make a play in onto this mid lane. He's going to have to go back, takes that tower shot. Wing probably could have come in and at least forced the flash away if he threatened with that explosive cast, but it doesn't go over. Fuzon is just going to continue to struggle.
He's waiting for gold to finish off that Morellonomicon. Probably going to have to be 2 purchases. Right now he's quite low on mana, but in no way being threatened whatsoever. Gragas basically power farming and hoping that his laners don't fall any further behind than they already are.
Well, fortunately for him, Pilot at least has a lead. Trace is keeping it relatively close, down by about 5 CS at the moment as he gets shoved in underneath the tower, so he'll be able to equalize that count with these last 3 coming in. Actually going to knock Ixu in, force the ultimate out, so they'll just trade those there's CDs right there.
Actually quite important. You might not think so when it comes to a laning phase ultimate, but Ixu,
and then stops him from backing and ulting back.
That's the point I was getting to, is it stops him from getting an item lead without actually having to invest in his summoner spell teleport, which in turn relieves the pressure, and with the pressure of Dragon, which does spawn in just a couple of minutes time, so could actually be quite consequential that Ixu was forced to ult.
Fuzon just trying to get some HP back off the Wolves, but
Wolves
what he
are
lost
this weekend.
Yeah.
We already saw them take down Bless in the last series you casted Achilles.
Don't remind me.
I mean, Bless probably, you know, won't ever be able to live that down, but they did win the series at least.
That's true. But now he has to live with being the team that relegated CJ Entis out of the LCK.
Look, I'm sure that's something to feel good about if you're actually on the team, even if we mourn the legend of what was once MIG and ended up CJ.
I'm just more so concerned with the very salty and vindictive fans from CJ Entis that could hold that grudge for a long time. Wing gonna go in, knocks Mickey to the side. Hemo Plague not gonna connect. They're trying to go for it. Tides of Blood into the transfusion, finds the kill. TP likely gonna be canceled. No, Ixu's actually gonna finish that one. He's gonna come into this mid lane. That's gonna offer up a good amount of time for Trace to shove in under the top tower and get some good damage down.
Mickey was greedy with summoners there. Thought he could get away with the ghosts. Tried to counter flash, but flashed after the CC had already registered, so unfortunately went down as well. Both summoners down. Fuzon used both of his as well, but has a lot more safety in the mid lane with the ability to use the Sanguine Pool, so finally some pressure taken off Vladimir, as theoretically at least Mickey will have to pressure a little bit less in the mid lane for fear of getting repeat ganked by the Gragas.
Yeah. Well, he's got that Morellonomicon now. That's going to help him out quite a bit. There's Fuzon still looking for that Spirit Visage. Pretty close.
We're still looking for that first Weaver's Wall.
Yep, hasn't come out yet.
Mickey is just greed, going for auto attacks. Could have flashed, could have flashed, could have flashed. Didn't flash.
It was a good knockback by Wing.
And he ended up flashing the Vladimir ult, which is something, but unfortunately, at 300 health, you're going to die to a couple of Gragas auto attacks with red buff, let alone Vladimir Tides of Blood. So a little bit too much greed on the summoner spells costs Mickey in that scenario.
But overall, Afreeca Freecs still going to have a lead of about 700. That first blood bonus coming through, helping them out, as well as the CS lead that Mickey has been able to accrue over top of Fuzon. 17 up at the moment. It's being made up for very slightly, and Bot as Pilot just keeps trying to inch ahead of Songyun, but it's a Sivir. Now with that BF sword, the Berserker Greaves, going to be able to clear out those waves with relative ease, so not should be too much of a lead growing further for Pilot. Grace goes in for a trade onto Ixu, gets a good amount of damage down. He's going to snap back to get a little bit of that health back.
Missed the actual, thought he could get some damage with the ult, but actually missed on the chrono break. Worth noting that because Ixu teleported into mid very conspicuously, Janair have a teleport advantage, so Afreeca got the very early first strike. We're probably looking for a 4-5 stack game, but with a teleport disadvantage, super risky as I think Winged has the jump here.
Yeah, Winged he does. He knocks him down to about half HP. Lyra jumps to that ward, comes over the wall, they pop
really
him back
nice.
though. Nicely done by Winged. Pilot gonna pick up the kill. Snowflower getting booted to the side. Body slam coming through. Songyun's here though. He's gonna use On the Hunt to try to zip him out. Now Fuzon going in, drops the Hemo Plague down onto Mickey. Goes into the Sanguine Pool to slow him up. The rest of the team's coming through. The True Shot Barrage not gonna connect, but it doesn't matter. Pilot jumps forward, finishes him off with the Mystic Shot, and that is gonna be an Ocean Drake going over to Jin Air to equalize that count. They equalize the gold, and now they're up 2 kills. First brick gold still available, but Jin Air making some proactive moves, showing some signs of life now, because Afreeca Freecs are looking like they're going to be very successful, and my God, it's a triple Ocean Drake game.
The pathing from Winged, when it's on, it's really on, as it has been a couple of times this series, and then just knowing the limits there. The flash cast was a thing of beauty. Good pilot to capitalize on it, and then Mickey, you know, trying to relieve pressure. Remember, he used both summoners just a moment ago, and then just gets zerged down. This is what Vladimir can do. Spirit Visage, no ability power, but doesn't matter. Even though the Ezreal ult goes wide, Vladimir would have had enough to take him down because he had the Ghost, had the mobility, and Mickey falls down and still hasn't been able to use that ult whatsoever.
Yeah, they were still able to hand the kill over to Pilot, which is going to be very nice for him. Tier and the Sheen finally coming through, helping that Ezreal get some trades in, because he's going to need it. If you take a look right now, Songyun still working towards that Essence Reaver.
And asking for a Weaver's Wall. He's going to see some rock surfing.
It's still on cooldown, so he won't be able to throw it out quite yet. Nice block with the Unbreakable there. Afreeca Freecs looking for that first brick. Won't be able to find it at this moment. The Roman's coming through from Kuzan, and Winged is waiting on the sidelines. Trace just trying to keep Ixu busy. Almost has that TP back up, which could be pretty crucial for Afreeca Freecs if a fight should erupt in the bottom lane here. But for now, they'll just get a good amount of damage in onto that tier 1 tower, but the first brick will still elude them.
Why? Nice counter roam from Jin Air to stop that from coming down. Trace has been free hitting onto the Echo, so the matchup going more as we expected, about even in CS. Always troubling when a full tank Vladimir solos down a squishy carry, but such is the balance level of Vladimir right now.
Yeah, definitely needs to be changed up just a little bit more.
Just think if you build a Spirit Visage first, you probably shouldn't be able to burst someone from full health.
I agree. It's like a Rek'Sai having a Cinder Hulk and Banshee's Veil and not taking damage from anybody. It's amazing. Trace, gonna make it to the other side of the Weaver's Wall in time. We'll try to slow him up. He goes into that mini Narv form. Parallel Convergence, not gonna catch him. He'll be fine, still holds onto the flash and everything. And still gets a good amount of damage down onto Ixu. And Kuzan gets some alone time with this turret. Mira's gonna roam, be able to clear this out. Knocks it down to just above half. And Winged is just gonna be sitting in bot, keeping this turret alive as well. Just playing for the team completely.
Yeah, just nice to see him know where he needs to be, relieving pressure, getting CS for himself. Wasn't a bit of a CS hole against his opponent Lyra, but answers a bit of that with some wave clear.
Yeah, that and the 2 assists that have come through for him. He's probably got a lead at the moment.
Team fighting wise, it's hard to see Jin Air losing in the late game. Afreeca had all those different tools to be able to make plays around the map.
Oh boy. Trace TP's back up. Lyra's here. He's going to go relatively low. Nice flash away, but he's still taking a hell of a lot of damage. Can't get into Mega, and he's going to fall. Just not knowing where Lyra was. Gets popped right after coming into the lane. That's going to open up Afreeca Freecs to get that first brick goal as they take down the top tier 1.
They're tanking it though. They don't have minions. So if the minion wave actually comes in from Jin Air, they might get it faster. It's going to be close.
I mean, that's going to be the... Yeah, there it is. I was going to say the Sheen on the Ixu. Help take that one out. Jin Air just going to be a couple seconds behind. But that will put them at a 1.1 thousand gold disadvantage now. Afreeca Freecs still just keeping their heads above the water, but barely so.
Minion wave came just in time to match that from Jin Air and get that first brick over to Afreeca. 1,000 gold is the bounty they've reaped so far from what has been an entertaining but pretty even early game.
Blue buff takeaway by Wing. He'll be able to clear out a little bit more of the jungle, but it's going to be risky. Lyra coming around the sides. He flashes away. The Cocoon barely misses. I thought he had flashed into it for a second. It wouldn't have been that much follow-up from anybody else on Afreeca Freecs, however, but all the same, flash body slam. Not going to be a threat for Mickey in that mid lane for the next 5 minutes.
And when you're that deep in the enemy jungle against a Talia who he wouldn't have known, didn't have quite have the ultimate available, you see a live flashing before your eyes, so probably smart to flash first. Sort of play that would have helped Mickey in the early game, but some players a bit too liberal with their summoner spells, and some people hold on to them a bit too long. We can't all be Faker and wait the exact perfect amount of time for every flash.
That's very true. He's the master of that. But Kuzan now, still down as far as the CS goes, but still climbing up in the items. As should have a good reserve right now. Gold for his next back.
It's at 2 items as well, so they wish to go 1-3-1 and have Pilot clear in mid lane. May not be a cipher in that regard, but will be competitive at least.
Well, there we we go. Goes back, gets the Fiendish Codex. Still holding onto that Null Magic Mantle, opting in for the Sorcerer Shoes as well. Just gonna be slow and steady as she goes. We have that next dragon coming up. Third Ocean Drake of the game. 30 seconds. Cocoon gonna be jumped away with the Arcane Shift, but that's gonna open up that turret to go over to Afreeca Freecs. The Weaver's Wall's been thrown out, but there's just no way to get on top of Pilot in time, and we'll have that Arcane Shift back up anyway.
It had the right intent, just about zoning away from the turret take.
Yeah. Works out well. Trace going in for a trade with Ixu, knocks him into the wall, but can't get too much done.
Bit of awkward timing though, using the Nara ultimate in vision 5 seconds before Drake spawns.
He doesn't have the teleport, so he'd have to run down.
Sure. It is in multiple different ways, kind of surrendering your intent around Drake though. Cooldown not too long when you already have the Black Cleaver.
Sure. Well, we'll see this starting up now. Lyra and Mickey having plenty of damage to try to burn through this one. The rest of Jin Air wrapping around the side. Pilot coming down. It's going to go low. Can it be confirmed by Winged?
By time
Does not look like it. He's not able to go in for it. There it is. Lyra is able to pick it up. Goes forward. Finds Ixu. Big burst of damage, but they knock him away. Nice pillar thrown down. Ixu has to flash over the wall. The Ignite is ticking, and that's going to be Jay coming up with the kill. Should be the disengage from Afreeca Freecs, but they lose that second Ocean Drake. They pick off Ixu and get his flash for it in the end. But with this Sivir very healthy in mid, and the wave clear from Mickey, they're not going to be able to try to push in and take out this tier 1.
Does not simply push in a Talia Sivir with mana.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen, so we'll buy time in that particular scenario. They could have just had Trace auto attack up top. Jin Air kind of understood they weren't going to get the Drakes. They kind of looked for a pick on the backside, which they registered, but not sure they needed Nara around to confirm that. Pilot himself actually is going to be a split pusher.
Yep.
Kind of seed mid lane turret here, which is not really something you ever want to do.
Kuzan's there, he's still pretty healthy. So, but, oh, well, there's 4 members now. They bump him back in, he goes into the Sanguine Pool. Songyun, he will be able to finish that one off. So another turret, now 3-1 in that regard, going over to Afreeca Freecs. Pilot trying to get some damage in onto this top, but Ixu is on the roam. Throws out the Parallel Convergence. Pilot is going to have to deal back. Still just going to be 1,500 gold separating the squads. Oh, here we go. Wing coming up. It's onto Ixu, slows him up. Shay going to be taking out the tower, but the wave's not there. Weaver's Wall going to cut short, so it won't cut them off. And that is going to be Jin Air having to heal back just a little bit, but with Ixu on the recall, it might be able to finish off this turret. Snowflower's here. Lyra almost. There's just no way to clear out the wave. So that should be a tower going over to Jin Air. There we go.
Might be two. There's a lot of pressure onto the mid lane turret, and Talia's
Trace is here.
recalling.
Yeah, this should be it with the wave coming in. Mickey deciding to stick around, says, you know what, I have enough HP for this, but has to be careful because Trace is going mega. Kuzan gonna jump in, drops the Hemo Plague. Flash away by Mickey will keep himself alive. Kuzan goes into the Sanguine Pool. He'll stay up as well on the hunt. Pop by Songyun as they run down. TP coming through from Ixu, gonna be looking to trade something back now. Jumps in onto Jay, gives him a good amount of damage. Parallel Convergence not going to connect. Stun into the wall by Trace to lock up the Echo. He's going to flash over. Ixu chasing. He's not going to be able to find anything else, though. That should be the end of it. Jin Air put another turret on the board. They get the TP away from Echo, but they have to use a bunch of flashes to get out of there themselves.
They're very clean in setting up for multiple advantages when they finally get one. It's always 2 turrets for Jin Air, and even pressure on the bot side was what they set up. So minion wave play has been much better for Jin Air. The warding has been landslide this series better for Jin Air, although in Game 3, Afreeca finally corrected some of their underwarding, but they've certainly been on full display this series. Gotta say, there's not any wards in this game, though.
Yeah.
For either side.
It's like the first time that we've had neither team really warding. But just 300 gold separating now, Jin Air. Keeping it very close. Now we have a second. I'd like to apologize. I broke your pen.
Oh, my Korean Air pen?
Very sorry. I was fiddling with it during one of the team fights, and the clip just kind of snapped off.
So I had perhaps the best moment after the Hearthstone final the other day. We went to the after party, and the Vainglory / Here's the Storm translator, G-Clef, was tasked with opening the Mekju, the beer.
Oh, okay.
He broke the first, he snapped the first bottle opener in half, which, you know, it happens, right? And then he got a second one and snapped it in half on the first try. He snapped
How?
2 bottle openers in half. I don't know.
What were these bottle
You know,
openers
that's
made out of?
I don't know, man, but it was. I've never seen someone snap 2 in a row.
At least he didn't try to open it with spoons, because then you have to replace the silverware. But, or rather his teeth. That would have been even worse if he tried to open it with his teeth.
I mean, after you snap 2, you just stop. There's no more alcohol for you.
Yeah.
Which was awkward because he hadn't had any at that point.
Yeah. Still too much.
Clearly.
The thought about it was too intoxicating for him.
Exactly. Too alluring.
So, well, I'll have to give him some hell over that
Exactly.
the next time that I see Cheek.
Make sure to rib him about that. Speaking of alluring, I mean, Jinair would have thought they were on the doorstep of making it to the next round, and again, making it closer and closer to Worlds after Game 2, especially with the history of Afreeca Freecs in the postseason, but it's been better, a lot better in Game 3 and in Game 4. They've had some pretty ordered plays. The only one thing I would like to see is a bit more defensive warding for Ixu to split push. If you're going Trinity Force into what looks like a dead man's plate.
I think you drop warding, or defensive rather, from that sentence. Just a bit more warding in general.
Sure, but I want to see defensive warding specifically around Ixu, which actually be pretty offensive warding because it's pretty much split push duty for the Echo at this point. His build doesn't do much in team fights, but it does do a lot of work against enemy turrets.
Well, now we have another dragon coming up. It's going to be our first Mountain Drake, I'm pretty sure, of this 4-game series thus far. 40 seconds out on that. 2 Ocean Drakes for Afreeca, 1 for Jinair. That Mountain Drake would help them out quite a bit. It's currently 3-3 in towers. They're dead even in gold. But Jinair going to be looking for something to inch themselves above Afreeca Freecs. Is that enough to cancel it? Nope, wasn't in range.
Need to ferment it longer, I guess. New Gragas tech required.
Oh, well, we'll have that new Gragas tech when his new ultimate comes in and he just lobs the barrel and it flies like a mile an hour.
Let's be real. If we follow Riot's trend, the new Gragas tech is going to be removing alcohol from the equation.
That's also true.
Dizzy rage instead of drunken rage. He just momentarily can't really focus, and for that reason, he takes less damage.
Instead of stopping to take a swig, he just like holds his head and he's just like, whoa,
Oh.
lightheaded.
Vertigo rage.
Yeah. All right, well, there we go. Mountain Drake swiftly taken by Jinair. And then it'll be a Cloud Drake to just about finish this out for us.
This is what has happened this series. I look at the pink wards from Jinair. I see 2 on the top side around Baron, 2 on the bot side around the river. There's exclusive areas of vision for Jinair and Afreeca. They're just not even fighting for vision, which, again, it's really puzzling. This team has always been on the better end of warding in the league, despite a kind of aggressive tendencies they've always slipped into. And they need this warding, because we saw on the top side, Mickey's been roaming around looking for auto attacks on an inner turret. The moment you're at least even thinking about sieging inner turrets, your vision line is what makes that possible. You don't get any auto attacks onto turrets if you don't have vision to back it up. Otherwise, the penalty is always so severe.
So what is the next move right now? Is it going to be just waiting for more dragons, trying to ward up around this Baron and try to force the hand of the other team? Because right now it seems like either side, might get my answer to my own question there, but I was going to say, looks like either side doesn't really have anything to really play for at the moment. All the tier 2s that are standing, and they just have no vision deep inside of the jungle.
I mean, the onus is kind of on Afreeca to make the moves. In the late game, while they may have Sivir, Vladimir Ezreal is a very powerful duo. It's not Vladimir Sivir, but it's close enough. And Afreeca are the ones that have been winning in terms of the pressure battle, so they need to be the ones to two-man invade for vision and allow to set up for some of these sieges on inner turrets, because if they kind of just let Vladimir put together 6 items, they just let Ezreal pile on items, can't be surprised if we reach a phase where they just can't hold a candle to Jinair in a true team fight sense.
Well, they try to get that play on the chain mid, can't make anything happen from it, so it's just going to be Farm Fest 2016 at the moment in mid. And Songyun, he's doing a pretty good job of that. 282 to the 249 of Pilot. Pilot does have 2 kills and assists, so breaking relatively even in that regard. You can see the play of the Root King completed for him. Songyun still going to be working towards that first seal item soon. Looks like actually he's going to go ahead and pick up that Executioner's Calling. So could just be seeing a Mortal Reminder coming out from him as his third item.
He might even just sit on the Executioner's Calling. Don't have to worry about slot efficiency on AD carries too much. Will eventually be an armor penetration item there, and
you see the dagger.
It helps against the Vladimir. So at the end of the day, the healing from the likes of the Gragas and the Vladimir is on the higher side, so something to hold it in check is not a bad thing. Single couple of pink wards now on the map. One of them just cleared by Jin Air. Baron damage from both teams. Now the Blade the Rune King is completed. It's pretty good, you know. In the Talia Sivir and the Vladimir Ezreal.
Oh, Snowflower, pretty far forward. He uses that stand behind me.
Any pick now, realistically, opens up Baron. So a lot of defensive posturing. Snowflower's flash is down, so going to be harder for him as a melee support to get wards around the Baron. That's why he has to have Lyra be the best friend.
Well, getting a bit tense now is desperately going to be looking for these ins. Lyra taking a good bit of damage. Weaver's Wall comes through, but Pilot says, you know what, I can just jump over that one. But now he has to try to exit up the river. It doesn't even matter. He gets jumped on and melted out. TP coming through from Trace. Doesn't have a Gnar bar built up. Afreeca, their eyes are going to be set on this mid-tier 2. Trace almost walks into the parallel convergence, hops over the wall to wrap around. But a lot of the safe wave clear, the poke from that Ezreal is gone. And they're going to struggle to hold on to this tower. Looks like it's just going to go down. Afreeca Freecs taking out Pilot. They're able to force up and get a tier 2.
Yeah, that was a really sick weave as well. I think he undersold it a little bit just because at that time it seemed like Ezreal has to flash over it. So uses his flash, dies, heal goes down as well. Good teamfight conceptualization. We haven't seen those Weaver's Walls so far from Mickey, but first one at 28 minutes to really open up a pick. It doesn't get them Baron, but an inner turret just means one more pick, and they may have enough safe deep vision to look for the Baron. So we're going to see the replay. Just cutting off, just the exact positioning there was perfect. Pilot couldn't open enough space, and he also does some deletion damage, as we can see.
Yeah, he got pretty bopped.
Popped, bopped, whatever you want to call it. He's dead fast.
Well, Wing takes away a red buff, but not going to do a whole lot of good for Jin Air. Now falling even further behind, but 30 minutes in for the deficit that they're in. It's not going to be hurting them a whole lot. Just going to be 2,000 gold separating the two teams. Baron's still not coming into play. And, you know, a good chunk of that is now that turn advantage that is handed over to Afreeca Freecs. See, they got a little bit of vision in the bottom side of the jungle, but overall, it's still pretty lacking from them. Jin Air still have unique vision around that Baron pit.
These three items make clear very powerful.
Oh, Weaver's Wall coming through. Yeah, they're getting on the Jay. Pops him back with a seismic shove. He's going to flash over both walls. Snowflower trying to hit Pilot with that Glacial Fissure. Can't find him, but the Jay going low, throws out the Subjugate, trying to stay alive. Explosive Cast not really getting clipped. Snowflower, 2-shot barrage. Not enough to finish off the Braum. Zeus still chasing deep, gets a slow up on the wing, but doesn't want to pursue any further.
On the backside.
Kuzan all by himself in no man's land. The jump forward, the Winter's biting the exhaust. Kuzan goes in, drops the Hemoplague, but can't make it into the Sanguine Pool in time. And he's going to go down, and with that pick, all of that AoE damage gone. Afreeca Freecs, they're going to move over toward this Baron.
Yeah, Hemoplague being up, if that's one of the 4 members alive, stops the Baron threat. But with it down, they have a lot of Baron damage, Kilios.
They do. Pilot going to have to do all of the poking out here. Grace going to get locked up, flashes away, trying to transform into that Mega Gnar. Songyun and Lyra going low. Here he goes, gets the triple man stun into the wall. Wing goes forward, but can't find the kills. The repel comes through, and Songyun is able to finish off Trace. Pop back in onto Wing. The Baron will help assist a kill onto Lyra. They'll lose 3, but that means that Jin Air can stave off this Baron for a little bit longer.
Afreeca were really sloppy about who was tanking Baron. Songyun lost 70% of his health to the Baron.
Nice back delays there as well from Jay.
And almost multiple other members were taken down by the Baron. So they get the 3-for-1 trade, which is good. It could have been cleaner there. It could have still been a Baron threat, but Lyra, the only person to go down, means that at least 3 members were swapped for the Baron, staying on the Rift.
Now, you can see Songyun did opt to go in for that Mortal Reminder. See where he wants to continue his build. Doesn't have much need for something like a QSS. So can just go for straight damage and attack speed. Looks like it will be the Zeal. Could see a rapid fire cannon coming out from him. It's been picking up in popularity here and there.
5 Drake takes before the Elder Dragon spawns. We've seen as little as 2, so 5 is certainly the upper end.
It's definitely been a bit of an odd day for Dragons, both in the amount and the spawns. We'll take a look at this delay from Jin Air.
Just look at Sungin. Because of the traffic cone, he loses 70% of his health to Baron, and does have the flash up, so doesn't get killed by the Gnar ultimate. Again, tracking the Baron, almost takes down Snowflower, actually takes down Lyra. They get the picks. It's still a successful move for Afreeca, but they need to really get the hell out of dodge when it came to Baron in that particular occasion, but they're back on it now.
Yeah, Pilot running back, has the True Shot Barrage. They're going to throw out the Weaver's Wall to cut him off. Kuzan has no way of getting over this. It's going to be down to Wing to try to steal it, but he can't because he gets locked up. If he could get the smite, he would have been able to confirm it. It came out so early from Lyra, but it just can't happen. Now Mickey getting jumped on by Jay, but they're turning this one around as Lyra goes forward, chunks him down to about half HP. Kuzan trying to trade something back, getting onto Ixu, who has the ultimate available, but it won't even matter. Pilot is able to take him out in time. It's going to be a kill for a kill. Winged and Ixu going down, but Baron is picked up by the Afreeca Freecs, and that is going to stretch them even further ahead in gold. They should be able to finish off some of these remaining Tier 2 towers.
Once again, Mickey's the hero. Excellent Weaver's Wall. A 4-item Vladimir can't actually get to the fight because he doesn't have flash to get over the Weaver's Wall. Stayed up for the full duration. Had to keep away Winged. It was a really poor smite from Lyra, but had his blushes spared as Winged couldn't actually end up getting in smite range. Afreeca playing with fire. That's why the way this team has always played on the razor's edge, and it's tipping towards them in this game 4 and setting up for what could potentially be a reverse sweep, which given their history would be such a massive result.
That it would. So looking good for them, but it's still a little bit shaky here and there. The gold lead, not that huge. They need to try to expound on that and increase that deficit.
And we've still never seen a fight where Vladimir's ult has actually been amping up multiple members, because of course we've seen Kuzan randomly suicide to 4 members. We've seen other forced fights because of picks onto Jin Air. So the pick comp has been doing its thing. Just with only a 3,000 gold lead, without a way to really blow open the game like taking down an inhibitor, you still worry about Jin Air's teamfight comp in the late game.
Now Trace walking forward, is going to have to hop the wall. Killer thrown down to stop them from pursuing any deeper, but Afreeca Freecs looking for this first turret. It could be the first of many. There's no real way to walk up and try to clear out these Baron-empowered minions, so that's going to be the first Tier 2 going down. Weaver's Wall comes out. I can shift over, we'll keep Pilot safe, however. And now the minions are just going to get bunched up a little bit more as they start to push in and try to break the inhibitor line. All conversions thrown out, not going to find a whole lot, but Shay takes a ton of damage from the ricochets coming out from Songyun. He has to work his way back to the fountain. Barely alive. Kuzan going in for some trades, but doesn't do a whole lot to Ixu. Gets dragged over the wall. Need a little bit from that turret. Trace is going to transform into the Mega Gnar. Wallop misses, but he's playing this Mega Gnar on the wrong side of the map. Needs to be in bottom to help out the rest of this Jin Air squad. He's going for the kill onto Ixu, who still has the ultimate and the flash available. And now he's going to lose it. Gets exhausted out. See if he's able to hound him down. Looks like Ixu will be able to walk out with his life.
Afreeca trying to brute force this, but they really should be having someone like Ixu pushing in the top lane, getting the easy outer turret while they have this 4-man pressure. Instead, just looking to brute force. Maybe they'll even look for a dive here.
Shove in onto Jay. He's going to get locked up by that Winter's Bite. Take a good amount of damage. TP coming back in now from Ixu. Has the ultimate still and the flash. He's going to be fine to stick around. The wave not really working for them.
But they're not getting much value out of the Baron and Kilios. Top lane is even just up at the top by the river. Mid lane's actually pushing out for Jin Air. So Afreeca, again, really looking hard at the dive, trying to win the game now instead of playing the map smartly. And Jin Air have been smart at playing the map in previous games, and it's a bit of a reprieve for them here. It could have been a lot more punishment from Afreeca if they played the map clean.
Yeah, not able to break that inhib line. I thought maybe they'd be able to do so, what with Trace transforming into the Mega Gnar, trying to deal with Ixu, but it wasn't enough to walk up and knock down that structure. Still going to be 5.6 thousand gold now. 4.6 thousand gold, rather.
Not quite.
Jin Air just struggling to hold on.
Not quite 5.5K. Might get there.
Yeah. That's a big number.
It is. It's pretty big.
That's a number that you really have to consider.
It's a more than suboptimal number.
Well, for now, things going to slow down. Might just have to wait for that next Baron to come up, or the Elder Dragon. It's got a minute and 5 out on that. See that 3 buffs would go over to Jin Air, the Mountain Ocean, and Cloud. Double Ocean for Afreeca Freecs. So overall, wouldn't be the most important Elder Dragon pickup, but that extra damage for Jin Air would be pretty significant.
See which AD carry can go unchecked, because at this point, they both have a pretty impressive armory. So there's at 4 items, the ricochets. We know the work they can do, so I'm moving towards the Bloodthirster as a final item. Needs space granted for him, though, so it'll be very much a story of front lines. Naren, the Gragas, also the Vladimir, so 3 true frontliners. To some degree, the Trundle as well. Means that Ezreal should have more space, but if they ever take their eyes off Sangyun, we know what work the Ricochet crits can do.
Love me some Ricochet crits.
Might get to see some very soon, Achilles.
Looking that way. For now, it's just going to be having the attention turned on to the minion waves. They keep shoving.
For once, both teams actually get a lot of value out of this Elder Dragon, so will be a true flare point. 2 and 3 buffs respectively being buffed up.
It's just going to be a matter of can anybody actually try to engage this one. Ixu, he's going to get jumped on. Has to flash over the wall. He's going to go really low. And that's going to be the true shot barrage. Almost takes him out. He has the Guardian Angel still and the ultimate.
He didn't have the wards or the backup to make a face check like that, so gonna have to recall. We'll be able to ult back if he wants to.
Yeah, doesn't have to teleport either, though. So looks like he's just going to run this one out. Jin Air not feeling comfortable enough to try to jump onto the dragon. There's still a ward inside the pit, so Afreeca Freecs know that it's not being taken.
Afreeca's vision line is towards the Baron. Almost nothing around the dragon, like you say, on its single ward.
And now they're trying to pinch up from below, getting a slow in onto Mickey. Trey's going to get jumped on, trying to build up that Mega Gnar as best as he can. Jay chunked down to about half HP. Ixu goes back thin, working down this Gnar with relative ease and not suffering too much in the trade. Who's on? Needs to find a way to get in, drop a massive Hemoblade to try to burn through Afreeca Freecs. You can see the recalls coming through now from Mickey. He's going to go back, heal up, and zip his way in. If need be, he can ride the Weaver's Wall to get closer, even faster. But for now, Jin Air just don't have an opening to try to open up on these objectives.
Freaking kite back to their pink ward coverage around Baron and now clearing out the wards around Dragon. Both these comps are much better initiating from Fog of War. Well, most teams are, but the CC, like the Explosive Flask and Coon, do more work there. Finally seeing an Elder Dragon start, down to 5,000.
It's going to be do or die time here for Jin Air. They need the net this for themselves, or else Afreeca Freecs might just have all the tools necessary to close out the game with the map pressure that they have in the gold lead. 5,000, falling down now below 4. Winged getting locked up by the parallel convergence. Mickey is able to kill off Pilot. Who's it going to be? It's going to be Winged picking up the Dragon, but are they going to suffer too many losses on the backside of this? Looks like the answer is going to be yes. Winged getting his Guardian Angel pop. Trace, he is going to be able to exit. So it's going to be a 2-for-0 in favor of Afreeca Freecs. Winged down for 60 seconds. They can just go straight for the Baron.
I mean, Mickey's the hero. Solo kills Pilot, dies as an Ezreal with his summoners up. Just a complete burst damage that wasn't registered whatsoever by Pilot, and now Afreeca Freecs can walk up. No Ezreal, no Smite. Should be a free Baron for Afreeca.
And it's looking that way. Nobody on the side of Jin Air nearby to try to contest this. It would be a suicide mission there if they were going to go for it. So Baron will finally go over to Afreeca Freecs. Elder Dragon's there for Jin Air, but it's still only got about 60 seconds left on it, so they won't have it for too much longer. And suddenly, Afreeca look like they might be able to close this out as they take their gold lead to over 6,000.
It's been a long time since Mickey showed a new champion that must be ban-worthy, but watching this fight, just watch the Ezreal instant bop from almost out of vision by Mickey. That was an impressive amount of damage, something that late game Talia can do even without a combat ult, and basically instant kill someone from full health if you hit the full rotation. And as I was saying, the Zed and the Twisted Fate was shown in the first series he ever played against Najin. Now Talia. Sounded like it fit in his wheelhouse, and very clearly, based on this game, does.
I mean, all things aside, I think the most impressive part about his play on this Taliyah has been the seismic shoves. They've been on point. We've seen so many other mid laners just throw out the seismic shoves, consistently miss them, but then just try to poke out with the threaded volley. But Mickey, he's getting the full rotation off. He's able to knock them back in, layer the threaded volley right into their face, proc the Thunderlords, and then just really work them down, as shown by how Pilot just got absolutely destroyed.
Seismic Shove's a bit of a mind game you do have to predict, even though it's a little bit more generous now than it was on release, but Mickey knows a lot about mind games. No, not many people will forget his trading of words with Faker, but need to practice more, and he's clearly been practicing on this Taliyah.
Mickey gonna zip his way into that Weaver's wall. Not really cutting anybody off, but still gonna be the tier 2 at top going down. All of the outer turrets have fallen on the side of Jin Air's map. Afreeca Freecs, yet again, going to be looking to break this inhibitor turret line. Don't have that many ways to safely walk up and knock down that turret. They still have to be worried. Jin Air still has some power. They have that pick potential coming through from the Gragas.
And Mickey, another ranged auto attacker, will find it very hard to walk up when Cask is up. Even though they can trade wave clear, actually breaking the base, proving quite difficult for Afreeca.
Now they get the Cocoon in. That's gonna be the knock-in. Lyra goes up with a repel, jumps down on top of Kuzan, who goes into the Sanguine Bolt, trying to get himself out. Trace trying to pinch in on the sidelines to get into that Mega Dart, but they might just burn him out before he's able to do so. Pop him up. The Guardian Angel will come through, but he is gonna lose Mega and be exhausted by the time he gets back to this fight. Afreeca Freecs, they can just play with time. They have a massive wave building up in the bottom lane. They're going to push forward and finally knock down this tower. And Jin Air, they have to peel back because they're losing it in mid. They're going to be losing it in bot. This could just be a full base collapse like we saw Jin Air do to Afreeca Freecs.
I mean, it's losing across the map. Like I said, they might even lose this bot lane inhibitor turret as well. Trace able to hold it for now.
Weaver's wall used so they can push in, take out this middle inhibitor. Now Trace getting jumped on, popped down, locked up by the concussive blows. The GA will be popped. Ixu trying to threaten Pilot in the back line. He's going to throw out a good amount of damage, but Ixu still has that Guardian Angel that has to be respected. And the tower, one hit from dead, will go down as Lyra finishes it off. All three inhibitors now gone. Ixu snapping back into the base with the ultimate. This is going to be Afreeca Freecs looking for the finish. A huge chunk of damage on the Kuzan. Ixu goes forward. Will take a little bit of that turret aggro, but both of these structures are likely going to fall. It's a last-ditch attempt there. Wing goes in. Big Cast knocks them all in. Lyra going to be taken up. Pilot gets locked down by the Cocoon. Flashes away, but he is still going to fall. Actually, no, he's able to make it out alive. Retreats back to the fountain, but it doesn't matter. Afreeca Freecs, they're still so healthy. The parallel convergence setting up Kuzan and Shay. He goes into the Zonias. They're able to take out the Trundle. The turret's still alive, now gonna fall, and that should be Afreeca Freecs taking out this game. 45.5 minutes, a bit sloppy once they got into the base, but they finish it out, and the hope of that reverse sweep is still very much alive for these guys. A bit of a closer game compared to game 3, but showing signs of life, and now Afreeca Freecs tied up the series with Jin Air 2 each. The winner of the next game will move on to face Samsung.
In the betting markets, the reverse sweep by Afreeca was probably the least likely of the outcomes. Jin Air looked in control for a couple of games, but credit to Afreeca, they brought it back in really solid fashion, and looking on the faces of the Jin Air members, they seem a little bit out of ideas. Maybe Afreeca just has the depth of strategy to really deal with what Jin Air are putting out when they don't have Kuzan on that Lissandra, when they don't have as much playmaking. In this game, they even added the Gnar as a potential playmaker, but it wasn't enough, and suddenly, you talked about the third game being a best of one for Jin Air to be coronated as champions. Well, we have a true best of one now, and either team could be going through to face Samsung on Thursday.
They very well could, and Afreeca Freecs, if they can maintain this level of performance, they could be able to close it out, but one thing's for sure, I think it's that Mickey is probably not going to get his hands on that Taliyah coming into this final game.
It's going to be at the cost of a pick like Karma, and maybe they'll just return to the Kog'Maw strategy. So the picks and bans, specifically on the side of Jin Air, will be fascinating, because it feels like they've shown Afreeca 2 comps they can work with, and you only have so many bans to answer them.
Yeah, and look at that damage coming through. About 45-minute long game. And Mickey doing 37,000. I
mean, every good thing came from either a Mickey ult or a Mickey seismic shove. The deletion on Pilot got them the Baron. Some of the walls were clutch, and there's another pick that will it be available in the next game?
I mean, doing over 10,000 more damage than a late game Ezreal is pretty impressive.
He did double the damage of a Vladimir.
Okay, also very impressive. So Kuzan, maybe you don't go for the Vladimir pick. Maybe just keep it out of the hands of Mickey with a ban or something, but it's becoming increasingly difficult for Jin Air to ban out away from Afreeca Freecs. We'll see what they're able to piece together here for this 5th and final game. It all comes down to this. Winner moves on to face Samsung, and they keep their hopes alive for the regional qualifiers to try to make it to Worlds. Afreeca Freecs trying to go the distance. Let's see if they can do it. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.